All right. Hi, everyone. Shane here. As many of you know, the cost of living has been on the rise, and homeowners insurance is no exception. Recently, many of my clients have reached out to me, surprised by the significant increase in their yearly premiums, sometimes thousands of dollars or more. I thought it was incredibly important to put this video together to shed some light on this important topic. I'm excited to introduce Rick. He's an experienced home and auto insurance broker, and he owns his own insurance brokerage. Today, we're going to explore the reason behind these rising costs and how Rick's experience can help you navigate the world of homeowners insurance. Make sure you watch to the end, as this discussion could save you potentially thousands of dollars and headaches. So let's dive in. Hey, Rick, how's it going?
Well, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Start off, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to specialize in homeowners insurance?
Sure. I started 19 years ago working for a company here in Houston. We sold home and auto insurance, and I kind of realized the need to kind of align myself with realtors and lenders to become kind of an extension of the closing process. We had a lot of issues where people might have some DTI issues or whatnot. And so we would try to align ourselves with the lenders to make the closing process as smooth as possible. So that's kind of where I started, finding the niche in the home insurance market. But now I'm the owner of Brazos Insurance, and we have 12 employees here. And they're all kind of in that same mindset where we want to make sure we're doing obviously the best for the client, but also aligning ourselves with the realtors and lenders to make the closing process as smooth as possible.
Wow, 19 years, quite the accomplishment, Rick. We're definitely talking to the right guy. So let's dive into our first question. Many homeowners are seeing a steep increase in their insurance premiums right now. Can you just elaborate and explain the main factors that are driving these changes?
Sure. So the longer an insurance company is in the market here in the coastal region of Texas, so Harris, Fort Bend, Brazoria counties, even Montgomery are being affected by it. The more saturation or more risk an insurance company has in a certain area, the harder it is going to be for them to get reinsurance in the coming years. So they have to increase their rates to kind of lighten their book of business in the area so that the reinsurance companies are satisfied with their portfolio, if you will. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what really drives the rates up. Is it's not so much what an individual insured does from year to year. You might have a claim for food spoilage or something small, but that's not going to drive your rate up 40 or 50%. What it is it's these insurance companies trying to offload some of their risk, be able to maintain reinsurance. And it really isn't even what happens in Texas. It's actually a lot of our insurance companies have exposure in Florida or Alabama or Louisiana. And as you know, a lot of the storms that come into the Gulf, they don't necessarily hit Houston, but they do hit Florida or the other, coastal, the Gulf states. And so
So they're paying out those, they're end up paying out those premiums. So then what they're doing is those to other states.
they are because they're looking at their entire portfolio, and reinsurance isn't it's not just exclusive state by state. It's the company wide, right? So if the company's having a lot of exposure or a lot of if they're getting hit pretty hard in Louisiana, then it's going to get passed on to the entire region.
Before we start to get into my next question, what's the difference between an insurance broker and just working with an insurance company?
Sure. So we at Brazos Insurance are a broker, right? And not to get into too much of the nuances, but the difference between like us, which I'm directly appointed with all the insurance companies that I write through, right? So I write a policy for them. They pay me a commission to write that policy. We have 20 to 30 companies that we can write at any given zip code or section of Texas. The difference between us and like a Goosehead model is that a Goosehead is a franchise opportunity where somebody would come in and write under the parent company, and that's why I believe they charge a policy fee for all their policies because of the commission split's a little different with that model than it is with like a directly appointed agent like myself. So we
So like for a broker, then do you set your own commission structure or do the insurance companies say, hey, this is what we pay y'all?
insurance companies set them. On the personal line side, it's a lot more cut and dry, right? So on our commercial, in my commercial department, we do have a little bit more flexibility. Like we can cut the commission to try to help a business owner, get into that like lowest rate possible to kind of help their bottom line. On the personal line side, no, we're pretty much they dictate what we get paid by the each carrier.
If I have a client that is attached, their home insurance premiums went up, 30% over the past year. And they're dealing directly with the insurance provider. That insurance provider could have paid out millions of dollars to a storm, like you said, that happened in Florida. But your job is to find maybe an insurance company that wasn't hit as hard with certain things to line them up with a better monthly
Sure.
premium. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, it's twofold. It's that, and then it's also how much business they may have in a certain zip code or area of Texas. So some of these, I don't want to say younger companies, but less, not your travelers or your farmers or your state farm, the bigger companies, all states, you might have some smaller regional carriers that have less exposure, and so they're offering lower rates to kind of build up their book. Still, they're going to be an A-rated company. They're still going to be backed by the state guarantee fund. So it's still a low risk from a consumer's perspective to get a policy with a regional carrier like a Homeowners of America or some of these E&S companies are coming in and offering good rates as well. It's more about saturation to get a good deal, right? So like we have 3 new markets coming in this year, and I'm sure they're going to come in at a pretty nice rate. They're going to want to flood the book. They're going to want to get some policies in the books, and then they'll slowly increase their rates over time to kind of leverage or temper their business flow.
Okay. So it's an advantage though for a person to go to an individual broker for insurance like yourself compared to going directly to a homeowner's insurance company because you're going to be able to shop around for them and find them the best deal and their prices aren't going to be more expensive going to you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, from a business perspective, I couldn't imagine being what they call a captive agent, where you only have 1 or 2 products to offer, and if the rates go up, you're kind of beholden to just those two. Whereas, yeah, we're able to. I'm always getting new markets because of our higher volume. We are often offered, first opportunity to try out these new products. So, like Allstate's coming out with a new independent product in the first quarter, and they'll be probably quite competitive. So yeah, it's an advantage for sure.
Going along those lines too, let's talk about some discounts that you can provide or ways that you can give some examples of how you bundle policies to help lower their monthly cost.
Sure. So some of our companies will offer a VA discount, which is kind of neat, and I really enjoy that. Being a prior Marine, I'm always happy to be able to pass on a discount if I can to a service member. But there are all the traditional discounts, the alarm discounts, the advanced quoting discounts. Um, you know, for when we're talking about home exclusively, one of the biggest discounts or biggest premium moving, the needle moving premium discounts is a new roof. New construction homes are going to be so much more cost effective than an older home.
Now, on that real quick, where do you see the biggest drops? Like if a house is like 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, when do you really see those monthlies start changing?
I mean, the first 5 years of a new home is going to be probably the most cost effective for the consumer. After that, it kind of gets lumped in with some of the older homes, and then the new roof becomes a bigger discount, right? So if you have a 15-year-old home but it's got a brand new roof, that's going to be more beneficial to the client than it would be like a 2020 home with a 5-year-old roof.
And what's your process if you have like a new roof, a new AC unit, is that kind of a part of y'all's discovery on finding out from people to help lower their premiums? Is that one of the ways that you can help lower?
Yeah, we always ask for the age of the roof because we know that's a big discount or premium bearing factor. And then once they've gotten all their discounts dialed in, as far as really ACs, electrical, plumbing, those aren't discounts. Those are just kind of expected updates from insurance carriers.
Okay.
Companies won't take galvanized plumbing. They won't take certain breaker boxes. You might have heard of the Federal Pacific breaker box. Those are kind of like that's like the yelling bomb on an airplane. Nobody wants to hear the Federal Pacific breaker box. But
After that roof actually goes on and is new, is that going to lower your premium?
absolutely. So a lot of our clients will send a roof receipt with pictures of the roof, and it'll immediately drop their premiums midterm. They'll get a credit and they'll get a check back.
Wow. So even if you use the insurance company, because a lot of the times you're like, man, if I use my homeowners or if I use my insurance, then my premiums are going to go up and I'm going to pay more monthly.
But one point to note is that on anything weather related, or what they call acts of God, those claims don't count against the homeowner, as far as that's not a premium bearing factor. Now, if you have a water loss that's like other than the freeze that we had back in 22,
Yeah.
pipes froze, that was actually categorized as a catastrophic loss. So that was exempt from causing people's premiums to go up, because that was an act of nature. But if you just have a water loss, or if you have a small kitchen fire because you were reckless, those will cause your premiums to go up pretty dramatically. But replacing your roof, I mean, by all means, that's going to be always going to be a weather related categorized loss, so it won't affect your premiums.
So along those lines, then, are there small expenses that could increase your premiums dramatically that you should just do on your own without going through your homeowner's insurance?
Well, so with the rise in replacement cost has come a rise in deductible, right? Because it's a percentage of your replacement cost. A lot of times people are coming out of pocket for smaller maintenance or things that may have been able to be claimed in the past. But if you have a 1% deductible on a $500,000 replacement, you have a $5,000 deductible. So a lot of roof patching, working on around chimneys and gutters and stuff like that are more and more coming out of pocket. People are replacing their fences now, even though they have other structures coverage, they're probably replacing their fence out of pocket because it's not a big enough, especially if you're splitting it with a neighbor. So we've seen a lot of people say, I'm just going to pay for it because I'm going to get, $500 from the insurance company after I file the claim.
On your deductible, if you're staying under your deductible and filing claims, does your premiums go up at all if you're within your deductible?
I would recommend somebody to call their agent and consult with them before filing the claim, because there will show up a zero payout loss will show up on your claims report if
Okay.
you're purchasing of insurance. And that can be adverse, or it can be something that they would question, say, hey, what happened here? Why is there a zero payout claim? So it's almost better to not alert your insurance company if you are pretty confident that there's going to be zero paid out. We can always consult in that manner too. Say, hey, get a an estimate of what it's going to cost. This is your deductible, and then you decide whether or not it's worth to file a claim. But after you've kind of dialed all your discounts in, then we start kind of playing with deductibles, or there's once the replacement cost is established, then we can start looking at like other structures, personal property, and tailor those to the client so that they can get the best premium, but also, you don't want to overpay for insurance if you don't have $300,000 worth of personal property, but you only need 100,000, right? So we can kind of tailor it that way.
We had an inflation and prices of homes, especially during COVID, just went through the roof. Your property taxes, a house that was 600,000 is now 900,000, even though that they've increased that value of that price of that home. As far as tax purposes, there's no way that you could actually go and resell that home for that price because interest rates are so high. And if I were to rebuild that house, there's no way that it would cost, $1 million to rebuild that house. I think one of the ways where you even helped me out is that replacement cost. And I think that's a big driver. So do you see that replacement cost really affecting people's monthly cost?
I'm glad you brought it up because it's probably the biggest challenge we face is trying to keep our replacement costs within reason. Insurance companies now are insuring, minimum replacement costs now, where it used to be $120 per square foot is now $200 to $250 a square foot. So somebody in parts of Houston, you can still buy a home for, I mean, I've seen homes as low as 150
Mhm.
in certain areas. And then, I would say I'm not in your market, in your industry, so I don't want to speak
Yeah.
for you, but I think like what I'm seeing is an average home price of $200 a square foot in the suburbs. And we're having a hard time, insuring a home that's like say they're buying it for a 2,500 square foot house for 500,000. The replacement cost might be 550 or 600,000, and people are going, why is my replacement cost $100,000 more than the purchase price of the house? And we have to explain, these replacement costs are just they're just going up out of control.
Do you see or anticipate premiums continuing to rise in the coming years, or do you see it stabilizing? What are your thoughts?
This is the first year I'm actually optimistic. We have three new really competitive carriers coming into the market that are going to be available to a wide variety of homeowners, older homes, newer homes, good, bad credit. So I think that will hopefully loosen or at least give a little bit of premium relief this year for a lot of people. But as I said earlier, they will probably fill up, over the next 2 to 3, 4 years. But as markets come in, as new carriers come into the market, I hope that will at least do a little bit of premium relief. It's not going to create any more competition per se, but it will give some premium relief.
So, Rick, I just want to say, hey, thanks for this phone call. It was incredibly insightful.
Yeah, you bet, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for sharing your expertise. For those of you that are watching, if you have any further questions or would like to connect with Rick directly, his contact information is going to be in the description below, as well as the link to my webpage if you're looking for an agent in the North Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, or surrounding areas. I'd love to connect with you. I would also like to offer you your own personal private client portal that's on my website. You can just click on the register button up at the top, and it's for every step of your homeownership journey. It keeps all your favorite vendors at your fingertips. You can link Rick directly to your private client portal. It also gives you access to all my recommendations for all my businesses and my vendors that I refer out to every single one of my clients. And you can also connect to your neighborhood and look at who all your neighbors are using right from your private client portal.